And so that's what I'm so excited to be sharing with students, that the answer of, is there a God? Or if so, what is he like? Unpacking that can lead us to a confidence that the Christian answer, that there is a creator God who loves us deeply, who sent his son, who is intimately involved in our lives, who cares so much. That answer changes everything that we engage with.
Hey there, and welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. I'm Amanda Wares, your host, and with me, as always, is our lovely co-host, Melanie Willis. Hey, Melanie.
Hey there. How are you doing?
Doing all right today. Doing very well. How about you?
Good. There's a lot of dry air, this wintertime thing. Spring is coming soon.
Oh, I tell you, we have talked before on the show about this stretch of time.
Yes.
And how it's so easy to have a slump this time of year. And man, I'm feeling it for sure. It's dry outside. It's cold. It's just not my favorite time of year, but spring is coming. So
it's like with all the people in the house and you're touching each other and you're shocking. I can't even turn on the light switches. And like just now we were talking, I was trying to get ready to record for the show and put my hair down and it was in my face because of all this stuff. All righty. So, Amanda, I have to point you out. Just yesterday, the day before, sometime you posted a quote on your Facebook page that I just want to put right here for everybody. This was from Dorinda Wilson. I hate that we have lost her.
Yes.
But this quote is absolutely perfect. And I just pray that everyone would hear my heart on this. Listen to this. Is if we are so busy homeschooling that we can't enjoy our kids, it's time to rethink our priorities and our homeschooling approach.
It's powerful.
And we are all so guilty of getting into the busyness or even just making our minds busy with everything that we have to do. And are we doing it right? Are we doing it right? Do you know how many times I hear that question from people? They're just so afraid they're not doing enough. And most of the time they're like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, wow, how do you do that much?
It's true. It's so true.
So we have to remember why we homeschool our kids, and let's enjoy this time that we spend with them.
Exactly. That's so good.
They're going to learn. I promise.
That's right.
All
exactly.
right.
What else do we have for today?
We have a great show for you today. So I sat down with Aaron Klemm from Summit Ministries. He is one of our Thrive featured speakers. He's going to be our teen track featured speaker, and I had a great conversation with him. So we're going to hear that. And then we're going to hear from you, Amanda, with a little bit of homeschool helps. And then, of course, we'll have some news from Lynn Pierre.
Awesome. That's so good. All right. Well, let's jump right into it and hear your conversation with Aaron. I am here now with Aaron Klemm from Summit Ministries. Hi, Aaron. It's good to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. And I know you were homeschooled, so if you can give us a little bit about your homeschool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I work at Summit Ministries, headquartered in Manitou Springs, Colorado. I am the director of publishing and content, so I oversee all of our publications, digital content, and curriculum, which we develop for Christian schools and homeschool families. I've been here for about 10 years and really just love the work that I get to do and the people that I get to work with. I have a family with a couple of young boys, three young boys, 2-year-old twins, and a 4-year-old. And we are not quite into the schooling, but very much preparing for that, and very much have homeschooling in mind. At least initially, we're excited to undertake that endeavor, and mostly because both my wife and I have homeschooling experiences. As you mentioned, we actually each have experiences in all kinds of different school settings, but started in homeschooling And some of my earliest educational memories are, learning how to do fractions on a tape measure in the best possible way. What could be more relevant than learning something so practically? And so, lots of great memories. I grew up on a farm, and so my mom would, we'd do homeschool work together in the trucks and during harvest and all these things. And so, lots of core memories, educationally and with my family in the homeschool world, and very much something that I value. Yeah.
That's wonderful. We actually did live on a farm for part of our time. So all my kids have worked on a farm. And
Mm.
the great thing about that is I was able to give them credit, school credit for a lot of the work that they did. So that kind of was
Yes,
a
yes. So much
cool
of what I
thing.
learned was real life things that were
Yeah.
taking place right on the farm. Yeah.
That's so much of
Yeah.
what homeschool lets us do. And so, Aaron, you
Mhm.
are going to be one of our featured speakers at the Thrive Homeschool Conference coming up in May. And so, the talks that I have here that you're going to do are how ideas shape everything, what kind of God is out there, what if there is no God, is everything divine, and only one story is big enough. And so this sounds wonderful. I have some kids that I really want to bring with me to listen to some of this stuff. So, what is your favorite thing to speak about?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for asking. And it's a privilege to be coming out to Thrive and hanging out with everybody. I really love talking about ideas. I like talking about the way that we think, the way that we engage with the world, and how ideas influence us. When I came to Summit Ministries as a student, Summit puts on conferences in addition to the curriculum that I oversee. And I came as a student when I was in college, and for the first time, really started to think what we like to call worldviewishly. How do I think in a way that makes sense of the world in big pieces and not just the little bits of every day? So, thinking about ideas helps us make sense of our experiences, helps us understand how does the Bible actually engage with the things of life, the challenges, the victories, the wins, the good things, the hard things, all and everything in between. And so that's what I love doing for others, for families and for students in particular, helping them connect the dots and make sense of things and grow in confidence in that process. Because as we grow, as we make sense of the Christian worldview in life, we grow in confidence. We say, hey, this actually does work. This engages with the things of life. And there are people who have asked big, hard questions before us. And so I like talking about those ideas. And one of the most significant ideas that, as you can hear in those talks, is answering the question of who is God, or does God exist? And what comes into our minds when we answer that question is so significant about how we answer and engage with everything that comes after. And so that's just one of my favorite things to talk about, and looking forward to really the bulk of our time unpacking that idea at length with the students at Thrive.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I want to hear it now. So, if you had one thing to tell homeschoolers, what would that be?
Well, the real privilege is that I think this series of talks really hits at home for that one thing for me. And so I get to come in and just talk about things that I'm really excited about and enjoy, and is probably the main thing that has made a difference in my life, and hopefully will make just a little bit of a difference in the students' lives that we'll be engaging with, and is a lot of the work that we do here at Summit Ministries as well with students and with their families, is really talking about, okay, the questions that we have, the way that we live, the faith that we've been many cases brought up in, the Christian faith, the faith of the Bible. Does this work? Does it make sense as we live our lives? And for many students, it's in those high school, college years that they're starting to ask those questions more specifically for themselves. So often we engage with students at Summit that will say things like, you've told me a lot of things that I've heard my parents say for years, and we see that as a win, that we're reinforcing, coming alongside, helping kids engage with this stuff. We're not trying to change things drastically. We're trying to help them think deeply about much of what they've been engaging with their whole life. But the truth is in those high school years, students are starting to ask questions in a different way, in a way that is about ownership, in a way that is really processing at another level. And so I really want to help students result with an answer of that the Christian worldview is big enough to engage with all of life. Because there are many things that we're going to come across in life. I mean, I'm still continuing to do so as I'm a young parent and, still fairly early on in the marriage journey and career and all these things that presents challenges and difficulties and scenarios that I don't know how to think about maybe initially. But if I can keep coming back to the confidence that the Christian worldview is big enough to make sense of everything, then that's the basis I start with to answering the questions of how do I engage with this coworker? How do I solve this problem? How do I deal with this tragedy? Whatever scale, big or small, I'm starting with that framework. And so that's what I'm so excited to be sharing with students, that the answer of is there a God, or if so, what is he like? Unpacking that can lead us to a confidence that the Christian answer, that there is a creator God who loves us deeply, who sent his son, who is intimately involved in our lives, who cares so much, that answer changes everything that we engage with. And so that's the one thing that I hope students can embrace in their maturing years, is a confidence in that. Many of them, as good families have been preparing them to answer and engage with those questions. Many students have an answer in a knowledge sense. They know that God exists. They know that there is reason to believe that God exists. In most cases, parents have been, walking through those arguments and asking them questions and engaging. But as they begin to really let that answer soak into their being, their heart, and they begin to desire the kingdom of God and, form their lives around that truth, they need to grow in that confidence and own it for themselves. And so that's what I hope to play a little bit of a role in deepening that confidence, having an understanding that the answers to those questions really, really do matter. These aren't just intellectual exercises. They matter for, the way that you engage with everything, the college you're choosing, the decisions you're making, the spouse you choose later on, the way you parent in life, the way you're a coworker, whatever those things of life kind of are. That's the main point. That's the wordy version, but that's the main point that I hope that my whole life exemplifies, and specifically that these talks can get at.
All I could say is yes, because that's, as a parent, praying daily for my kids and knowing that while I am doing my best, which just seems to sometimes not be good enough, I'm trying to instill these things in my children and grow them up to know what the word is. And I know that it's not gonna be me. It's gonna be somebody else that comes along and repeats those same things. And the kids are
Mm.
like, oh, yeah, that's what mom and dad said. But somebody like you that can word it so well and are enthusiastic about it, and they see that, and it just makes it come to life. And so they have the foundation that we've been teaching, but now it's like, oh yeah, somebody else is really telling me this, and it just causes something to stir inside. And that's exactly what we're praying for every day. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
I
Amen.
appreciate
Yeah,
that
indeed.
there's people like you that do what you do to help.
Mm.
And I think it's just absolutely wonderful. And I can't wait to come and listen myself, because, sometimes as a parent, being able to hear somebody else say some of the things that you're trying to say makes you feel like you're doing something right. And so I
Yeah.
appreciate that greatly. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, it's going to be a privilege. I'm excited, and can be a lot of fun. So send your kids to my workshops, and hopefully we can have a good time together exploring these ideas.
That's wonderful. And so, anybody that is interested in these talks, you can go on the website at nche.com and click on the Thrive Conference. And in there, you'll have some links that can take you to these featured speakers. It'll show you his talk specifically. And you can look at all the workshops, and it will break down in, a couple of sentences, a little bit more detail about what all these talks are going to include. And so be sure to check that out. And we look forward to seeing you all at Thrive.
So good. I love that we have a speaker that really focuses on our teens every year. It's always it's so good.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to my kids getting to hear some of that.
Absolutely. And just as a preview, you guys, with all of our speakers, you can go and find out what talks they're going to be doing. So you can go look at the schedule. You can see what they're going to be talking about. Aaron, I'm super excited. Some of his talks, a lot about questions that your teens, my teens might be asking, what if there is no God? Or what kind of God is out there? So it's going to be just great for our teenagers, or anybody that comes to Thrive can go to these talks and just learn a lot.
Very good. So, Amanda, you have homeschool helps today. And so, what I'm wanting you to help us with today is we seem to be having a lot of questions right now with people that are kind of doing a middle of the year, pulling the kids out and getting ready to start homeschooling. And so they're filing that notice of intent.
Yep.
And so we really need some structure on what that timing looks like, and everybody's worried about what the rules are. And so if you could just kind of give us a recap on some of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think so often all the questions and the anxiety that comes with it is based in this, you have to shift your mindset. You're in this public school. I have to follow their rules and their timeline and all of that. And we're shifting to now homeschool. Very much the responsibility and the decisions are on you now. And I have found the people that I've been talking to lately, that shift is what it's wonderful, right? Because now they're free and their kids are free, but at the same time it can be unnerving. So some of the questions that I've been hearing about have to do with attendance, which is one of the 4 things that are required by law once you file your notice of intent to homeschool. So I think the best way to explain all of those things that we do following the law to homeschool, we take attendance, we keep current vaccine records or the appropriate exemption, we have school on a regular basis, and we test once a year, right? All of that is dealing with a calendar year. So it's not a school year necessarily, unless you choose to do it that way. And it's not on the public school calendar. So if you pull your child out today and you start homeschooling today, then this is when the timeline of your homeschool is starting. So you will start taking your attendance today. You will start thinking about, okay, in the next year, I have to administer that test. But it all starts right now, right? And now we're talking about the next calendar year. Our friend Whitney, that always has the best answers in Facebook groups, I loved how she put it. She said, the homeschool law isn't about attendance. It's about operation. It applies to your school, not your individual child. Okay. I thought that was super helpful. So she's full of wisdom and I love her answers, but I thought that was really helpful to think we're shifting our mindset from just, attendance. We're talking about the school. The school is operating, is check.
So, Amanda, in order to put that in a little bit tighter perspective, because I know I recently saw a question where somebody said, does the days that they've done so far this year count? And I think, putting too much pressure on ourselves to, are they going to stop school exactly at 180 days? Because you keep hearing that 180-day thing out there. So can you help move us away from that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the first thing is, in homeschool, we don't count days. We don't count hours, none of that. There is no certain number of days that we have to fulfill in a year. We don't have a 180-day requirement. Once you file that notice of intent, I like to tell people, you're your own tiny private school. So you decide. What the law says is have school on a regular basis during 9 months of the calendar year. So are you having school? And what that looks like in your house, up to you. On a regular basis, what that looks like in your homeschool is up to you. And during 9 months of the calendar year. So if you're doing that during those 9 months, then you're good, but we don't count days. So whenever you start during the year.
And you can take your breaks whenever you want.
Whenever.
We
Exactly.
homeschool here pretty much year round, but then we can take longer breaks during times if there's a wedding, or this year we were all sick during Christmas, so we took 6 weeks.
Exactly.
It's your school. So, and on on that filing the notice of intent and withdrawing your child, what is that little timeline there?
So, in order to withdraw your child, compulsory attendance age in North Carolina starts at age 7. So, if your child is 7 or older, you're going to file that notice of intent and open a homeschool. Once you have done that, that's what you do first, file your notice of intent. Then, when you get that confirmation that your homeschool is open, you then will withdraw your child from the public school. So, file first, get the that's not approval, get the confirmation. Sorry, guys. That's such an easy mistake to make. And I see that all the time. So we'll
Yes.
include that here. Are you asking for approval? No, you are not. You are informing the school that you intend to homeschool. So
That's
that's
perfect
a good
wording.
little nuance there. That's easy to mess up. But so you
Absolutely perfect.
file first, then withdraw.
That's right. And so I have one more question for you. But before I ask that question, I do want to point out that on the NCHE website, under the help section, you do have a section that talks about getting started homeschooling. And there is a great video that you made that covers all of this in perfect detail. Definitely, if you're somebody that's dealing with this, you want to go check that out.
Yes.
But my last question is something I don't know how frequently I've seen this question, but I had somebody recently that posted that they are homeschooling their older child, but their youngest child, they are not planning on homeschooling. They're putting them in school. And so they're like, how do I handle the fact that I have an open homeschool and I'm going to put a child in school?
Right. So this is more common than you would think, actually. I know quite a few people that have maybe one of their kids is homeschooling and another one is in public school or private school. So you will simply just continue. If you're in that situation, you have one child that is actively homeschooling, then you will maintain all those records and still, give the test, keep the attendance, all those things for the child that is being homeschooled. And the one that you're putting into public school, then they will be enrolled in public school. The law says that your children, once they're 7, compulsory attendance age, once they're 7, they have to be enrolled somewhere. So if they're going to be going to public school, they have to be enrolled in that public school. If you decide to withdraw them and put them back in your homeschool, they have to be officially withdrawn and enrolled in your homeschool, which is as simple as you saying they are enrolled in my homeschool. I get that question a lot too. How do you do that once you already have one child in the homeschool? What do you do then? It's very simple.
But
You
it's
can
not an
just say,
overcomplicated thing in your mind. It's just,
it's really
you
not.
just
It's really not.
are.
It's as simple as you saying they are enrolled or going on the DNPE website and updating that age and gender. So very simple.
Very, very good. Awesome.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And so now let's hear from Lynn Pierre with some homeschool news.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lynn Pierre, and this is your NCHE Homeschool News. Now, before we do anything, we have to talk about the 2026 Midwinter Chess Tournament that was held this last weekend on February 7th in Kernsville. We have to announce the winners. We had the junior section and the senior section, so let's get into these winners. First of all, the junior category, in third place, we had Ripley Donahue from Summersville. In second place, we had Elijah Boltzman from Hubert. And in first place, junior category, we have none other than Jonas Lepard from Salisbury. Congratulate all of our junior category winners. And now, the senior category. The senior category, in third place, we have Nathan Horton from Kernsville. In second place, we have Gabriel from Westfield. And in first place, drumroll please, we have Ezekiel Lee from Salisbury. So we at NCHE congratulate all the participants and all the winners of the 2026 winter chess tournament that was held in Kernsville. All you parents out there that want an awesome field trip is coming up for you March 23rd, 2026. You can get online right now and register for it. I'm talking about the England Planetarium and the Museum of the Coastal Carolinas. You want to have fun. You want to get your kids out of the house, and you want to enjoy yourself learning something that you don't get to see every single day. So go to the website, go to activities, go to field trips, scan down, and you'll see everything that you need to know about registering for this awesome, awesome field trip. You ever feel like you or someone you love needs to be equipped, encouraged, and connected to thrive in the homeschool community? Well, guess what? We got an event just for you coming up this May 21st through the 23rd. It's the Thrive Conference. Just in case you haven't registered, get online as soon as you finish watching the homeschool show. Get online and register for the Thrive Conference. Now, why should you? Why should you register for the Thrive Conference? I'll tell you why. One reason is right now we have discounted prices through February 26th. So you already know you're going. So you might as well register early for a discounted price. Another reason why this conference is going to have nationally recognized speakers and knowledgeable and experienced speakers right here from North Carolina. A huge vendor hall, the largest vendor hall you would ever see at a homeschool conference, fun activities and engaging talks for teens, informative college and trade fairs, and of course, experience mentoring. So like I said, May 21st to 23rd, clear your calendar, get online right now and register for the early bird pricing of this year's NCHE Thrive Homeschool Conference. And that's your NCHE Homeschool News for this week. My name is Lynn Pierre. Have an exceedingly and abundantly blessed week.
All right. A lot of fun things going on, which is great, especially at this time of year. All right, guys. So as always, please help us out by liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends. Maybe you have a question that you would like me to talk about on Helps, or maybe what we talked about today with filing that notice of intent and how that works with attendance and all of that. Maybe that has sparked a question in your mind. Please send it to us. You can always reach us at thehomeschoolshow@nche.com. You can also just drop a comment below, and we would love to answer your questions. We'd love to feature your questions in future episodes on the show. So send us any ideas or questions, comments that you have. And until next time, keep homeschooling with confidence and joy. Bye-bye.